On to another edition of Mountaineers Live right here at the Voice of College Football. 58 editions, but this is a really good one we've got in store for you tonight. Appreciate you being here. Leave those comments and questions there in the live chat here at the Voice of College Football. Hey, if you're checking us out for the first time, we don't ask that you hit the like button or subscribe. Check out what we do. But hey, if you've been by here many times and you enjoy the content, hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, settle in. Again, comments, questions. We've got the Wolfman here tonight. Look at that. Wolfman's Call. Join us every day, 4 days a week on the West Virginia channel, where the Wolfman is doing his thing right there. And he is pumped up and ready to go every day. I never see you, Wolfman, down. It's you're full throttle coming after it each and every day.
Well, because you gotta be excited, man. And you know what? If it's not a turkey sandwich, it better be something about football. You know what I mean? Because that's what I love. Give me a steak, give me some kind of food. I'll show you real excitement. But this WVU football, the football overall, there's nothing much better than having fun talking about it, breaking it down, and really getting into all the intricacies of it all. So yeah, I am ready to go, Mark. Thank you very much.
Absolutely. And again, if you've missed the news, the Wolfman is joining us on the West Virginia channel 4 times a week over on the West Virginia channel. So we will be dropping the link over there as well to subscribe. Joey, thank you for hitting the subscribe button and setting everybody up there. We got Joey Foster on the line, of course, the guy that makes it all go for us. And Wolfman, we want to make sure before we get going on West Virginia football talk, where everybody can find you other than the Voice of College Football.
Well, of course, you can go to on Twitter and you can find me at Wolfley64, and then on Facebook it's Wolfman WV, and of course, what's the other one? Or YouTube. Now I'm at West Virginia football at the Voice of College Football. So I mean, you know what? It's pretty good. I have a link tree on there. If you go on to my sites there, and you can see all that we do, along with my two brothers, the Three Wolves of Football, the podcast. So. Yeah, man, I'm here and I'm excited. 4 times a week, guys. I mean, that's, I'm usually doing this stuff once a week, maybe twice a week, but now it's a 4-day grind and we're going to get after it. And what I love about it is we're just going to tell the truth, Mark and Joey.
We love it and appreciate you being here for us. We were excited to make this work. That's for sure. We are going to be looking forward tonight, gentlemen, to the 2023 football season. But to start us out, Joey's going to be really looking forward to 2024. Of course, the Mountaineers have a couple commits in the 24 class, but a bit lagging behind. I don't think that's anything to be that concerned about at this stage of the game. But most teams are in that 10 to 15 commit range. West Virginia with 2. And Joey, you've got your eye on somebody else.
Well, I've got my eye on the transfer portal right now. West Virginia's so Neil Brown said that he wasn't going to be, not looking at a transfer portal. If somebody's there that can improve the team. And he's got a couple of players he's going after I'm not completely sold on. So we went 5-7 last year, right? And we were pretty bad. And we're looking for a team that went 2-10 because we've got a couple of wide receivers from Colorado that we're going after. Montana, Luminous Craig, wide receiver, and Jordan Tyson, wide receiver. 2 wide receivers from a team that went 2-10. I don't understand. I don't understand that. Neither one of them put up huge numbers, Tyson probably put up the best. He got 22 balls for 470 yards. But, I don't understand that. But there is one player I am excited about, and that's a player from James Madison that he's looking at, Isaac Ukwu, UKWU. I'm not sure how you pronounce that. But Ukwu. Since he's been at James Madison, he's had 83 tackles, 27 tackles for loss, 16.5 sacks, 5 pass breakups, 3 forced fumbles, and a fumble recovery. And he's turning his sights towards WVU, looking at it. It's one of his only Power 5 offers. And I'm excited about that kid. Now, I think that he could be a real man in there. So I'm excited about him. But I'm not real happy about the Colorado players. We do have a TCU transfer wide receiver, Jordan Hudson. He's looking at that would be a good player. Already a Power 5 player. And then we're looking for a defensive back, Antonio Carter, out of Rhode Island. I don't know about much about Rhode Island. They're Division III, aren't they? Are they not Division III?
Yeah, they're an FCS.
Yeah. So I mean, can he be a great player? I'm sure he can. But can he compete as a defensive back against the likes of wide receivers that are at Oklahoma and TCU, Sonny Dykes offense? So I worry about that.
Well, be careful what you say about the roadies, Joey. That's where my daughter graduated from school. So, let's not be talking about those roadies, the Rams.
Man, I'll tell you what, I don't know how they get a Division I team in that state. I mean, how small that is. I mean, there's a city there, and then there's not much else besides Connecticut.
That's pretty much it. Yeah. You leave any town in Rhode Island, and if you go the wrong way, like I left Providence one time going the wrong way, and I was in Boston before I could, think twice. There's not a whole lot there. Not a whole lot there. They do have a nice beach. I will say that at Rhode Island. Well, the thing I'll say, Joey, is those couple wide receivers from Colorado. The one thing is you gave them too much credit. They went 1-11.
1-11.
1-11 last year. I really don't know much about them, except I found out about them watching Colorado's spring game. But of course, they hit the transfer portal the next day. So, don't know much about them other than the stats. Yeah, they caught 20, 25, 30, 35 passes. All their top 3 wide receivers hit the transfer portal there at Colorado. So we shall see there. James Madison, the impressive thing about them is that they stepped up from FCS to Group of 5 play in a pretty good Sun Belt conference, and they did rather well. They went 8-3, surpassed App State and some other really good programs there in their first year in FBS play.
And that's what I say. I'm excited about that guy. I mean, that he's a real beast in there. So, 83 tackles, 27 for loss, and 16.5 sacks. You can't really go wrong going after somebody like that. That's for sure.
All right. Thanks for the update there, Joey. This week, a lot of the Vegas sports books, some of the sites came out with new lines on both some of the games throughout the season. I was doing my very best. You know that the NFL has taken over when I was reviewing this stuff the last few days, and all you'd have to do is type in whatever team or whatever conference you were looking for, win totals or whatever. But the NFL released its schedule today, and my word, I'm typing in West Virginia 2023 win total, and I can't get anything but NFL on Google search.
That's because we've got all NFL players. We've got all NFL players on the team.
That must be it. Yeah, that's it, Joey. Right.
Joey, let's not get sarcastic. Don't lower the brand. Don't lower it.
That's right. Don't lower the brand.
So let's start there because I got 3 topics I'd like to hit on, and 2 involve Vegas. Wolfman, we haven't talked about this. Are you big into point spreads and win totals and all that business?
Only if it's an interesting game. Yes, the games that is your double digits, I couldn't care about. So I'm not a total betting man, if that's what you're asking. But yeah, I do care about point spreads when it comes down to, because I want to see what's going on. I'm keeping an eye out for everything.
Well, as you mentioned, double digits, but that's where your team's in that situation at Happy Valley to open the season. So the Mountaineers, a 17-point dog. Do you have any thoughts about that?
Really? Because it's going to get bigger from the time we get to Penn State. I mean, that's a top 5 defense. Offensively, you got 2 of the best quarterbacks, certainly on the Eastern Shore, that are competing at Penn State. I wouldn't be surprised if one of them actually didn't make it out of there, but at Happy Valley. Listen, I played at Happy Valley. Okay, and it doesn't matter that it was 30 years ago. 30 years ago, there was 90,000 fans there. Now there's 108. I mean, so if anything, it just got much wilder. And one of my best friends, obviously Jawan Sider, he's a running back coach and assistant coordinator, offensive assistant coordinator there. So, I mean, it's Happy Valley, and it's kind of that Happy Valley that I've always known. I'll be honest with you. Do I like being double digits? No. But you know what? What's the reality of it all? It's got to be, right? I mean, you got a top 5 team right now, West Virginia. I don't see anyone putting them top 25. And I'm going with the cup half full for the Mountaineers. But once again, 17's not quite enough for me.
Yeah, Penn State to me is a playoff team this year. I think they've got a good legitimate shot of winning the Big Ten. There's not. I really figured that point spread would be about 24 myself. I really did. So 17, I'll take it. But
let me say this. Okay, how many seniors are on that defensive line right now? How many? How many guys have competed really at that level besides Sean Martin? Right? Okay, you got Mike Lockhart there, who was at Georgia Tech, who, to be honest with you, he played 15 reps a game last season. Okay, waiting to see what that guy can do. But I want to tell you something. When you get these fourth year, fifth year Penn State guys, and they're blowing snot out of their nose, and they're going to line up across you, and they look like men. And right now, this defense, I didn't see anyone on this defense that, to me, that could line up. Okay, yeah, I'm sorry, Lee Koba. Besides Lee Koba, could line up and be a man. And now that means, so guess what? If you're a linebacker and you got a defensive line that's young, which is what they are, and that's what I'm saying, is you have no idea. You're walking into Happy Valley, man, and the play, and they have students right down there, and they're just cussing you out, and they're just trying to get in your head. And it's 107,000 people rocking it, man. And you're like, you're fired up, but you can't lose your poise. You can't lose your poise, because guess what? When you lose your poise, you start to get crazy, and then you start running around in circles, and you don't know where you're going because you're not executing your plays. So and then you get the guys that are hitting you, and they got running backs, right? They got a lot of juice there, and that's the problem with playing in Happy Valley. That's the problem when you're a young team. And the only thing that I could say for the West Virginia working lineup, and that's got to be the offensive line. And now let's go with Cole Taylor and say, okay, he's LSU. He knows what big boy play is. He knows what that is. So, but the other guys are young. I mean, you thought C.J. Donaldson thought Pitt was a big stadium and all fired up and ready to go. Happy Valley, that's going to be a different story now.
Well, you bring up a good point going to the other side of the trench, and that's that Katron Allen and Nick Singleton are two of the best freshman running backs in the nation last year. And you got to think that they're only going to get better, stronger, more mature as sophomores, but they broke out in the Big Ten, had great seasons for Penn State, and they were just true freshmen. And Penn State people tell me that the one area where Penn State has been lacking behind Ohio State and Michigan more than any other has been the offensive line ever since they had the scholarship reductions. That's one place they've never got up back to Penn State standards. But this particular group, from what I'm hearing, is supposed to be the best group that they've had since Paterno.
There's no doubt about it. I'm talking to Jaywan Sutter right now, and he's saying, "Hey, Wolf, wait till you see this run game." And I'm like, "No, well, I can wait. I can wait. It's okay." And they just reload there, and how many draft picks did Penn State have? Where they had, I think, 6 or 7. Well, a lot of people now are starting to say, you know what? They're looking at who could compete for the top echelon of college football by how many draft picks that you're having, because that means that you also got people reloading and having success there because they get used to playing at that level. Well, Penn State might be right now just coming to be an elite team. If you're top 5, you're elite, right?
Yeah, that's for sure.
Yeah, it's going to be a tough go.
One thing I will say, I would like to say while we're on the subject too is speaking of Paterno, you've got another Paterno coming on your show next week, hopefully, right?
Yeah, hey, Jay Paterno, who's on the board of regents there, and he's the author of many books, and he's cerebral like Mark, a very cerebral kind of guy. And, he likes to go ahead, and we have a radio show called Pigskin Stew on ESPN. We do it once a week with Tom Bradley, who coached 40 years, the defensive coordinator for Penn State, and coached at UCLA, coach of the Steelers, coached at West Virginia for 1 year. So I get on a show with them, and we go around and we do Penn State, Pitt, and West Virginia. and I'm the guy that represents West Virginia. And yeah, it's going to be an interesting show. But Jay's coming on. He's good, very, very smart. He's going to break down that Penn State team like very few others.
And that'll be right here on the Voice of College Football on the West Virginia channel. I posted a link. Be sure and sub that channel up. I posted a link there in the chat if you would.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And the Wolfman has been on the Voice of College Football just for a few weeks. And every time I flip it on, you got Don Nealon, you got Jeff Hostetler, and on and on and on. And you're bringing in the big guns.
Yeah, you know what? I thought if I was going to come over there, I'd try to look cool right away. You know what I mean? But honestly, these are Mountaineer brothers. Don Nealon, of course, is a Mountaineer father. That's what they are, and I want him to come on. And it's not only just my brothers, the football players, but it's also Mountaineer Nation. I want them to come on and be able to talk and give their opinion. And people think like, well, if you're going to jump on them, no, I'm not going to jump on anybody. Okay, you give your opinion, I'm okay as long as you're respectable. You know, and if you're not respectable, well, then you'll get the yank real quick. But we can have some fun. And when you hear from these other guys, like I had Mark Plants on there. Okay, so the other day, and I get done, we were talking about Aaron Beasley, the Hall of Fame, and how the National Football Foundation works and how you have to vote to get him in. And we're trying to raise up the voting in West Virginia, voting and awareness. And the funny thing is, and Mark Plants, I said, okay, so now tell me about WVU. And he says, well, I'm not real big in the wins if they're good recruits and they represent the state well. He's like, I don't care much if they win. I'll support them if they just wouldn't do it. I'm like, really? Okay, Plancy, and I love Plancy, but you don't know what kind of opinions you're going to get. And that's the great thing about the Wolfman's Call is that these guys, hey, listen, man, we grew up in a locker room, right? We grew up, we rip on each other. And that comes out into the shows and everything. And it's just the way we are. It's how we live. We're very, we're not mean. Although some people would think we're mean, but we're not. We're just doing what we always did. And that's lasted for 30, 40 years. And it happens, and so it really is entertaining. And they don't care what I think. They're like, I don't care. But you know what? I'm going to tell you what I think anyways, and you're going to tell me. So it's very interesting. And you know what? Go out with whatever side you like and go with it. I think it's good talk football, man.
Hey, Wolfman, I make this comment to Joey a lot, and he sees it on my shows when we're especially on other team channels and, interacting with a lot of fan bases that aren't familiar with West Virginia football. People don't realize, even fairly educated college football fans do not realize how successful West Virginia football has been through the years. They have no idea. It stuns me all the time. I have to talk about bowl victories and top 10 finishes and look at the litany of everything I've watched since the late 70s, and people just have no idea.
Well, it's pretty interesting because when you think that, when I was down in Phoenix, Arizona, I was the head coach out there, and people were like, where are you from? I'm like, West Virginia. They're like, Western Virginia? Wait a minute. No, it's West Virginia. It's not. Well, it was Western Virginia at one time about 140 plus years ago, but it's not Western Virginia. I mean, that's seriously what sometimes you got to deal with. And it is the 105th, or it's the 15th, excuse me, the 15th winningest team of all time.
Yep.
All time. And that goes with 100 plus years of playing Pitt, and 50 plus years of playing Penn State, and 60 plus years of playing Syracuse when Syracuse was seriously good. We all know about all the Heismans and all that went there. And so when the East back then, it was very good football. You had Virginia Tech, you had Miami, and you played some really good teams.
Yeah, that's another thing, too. I hear that all the time, too, is, well, y'all were independent. You wasn't playing nobody. We weren't. We were independent and playing Penn State and Pitt and Syracuse and Boston. I mean, these teams were good. And then we all went in the Big East, and everybody got even better. It just surprises me because a lot of people think, well, who have y'all played to be the 15th winningest program? Well, Penn State's was a pretty good team even back in the 70s and 80s, and so was Pitt. So we played some good teams. I wanted to address a comment that, and I know it's West Virginia show, but I'm going to find the comment here so I can make sure I get it right. D-Rock Irish. I'm going to put your comment up here. Let's see. He says, now it's time for Penn State to produce. Franklin usually folds the second half of the season. Strong start and fades fast. I don't agree with that. I think Franklin's doing a great job at Penn State. I really do. Franklin did a great job at Vanderbilt. Anybody can go to Vanderbilt and win games in the SEC.
9-4.
Yeah.
Back to back.
Yeah. Got to be a pretty good coach.
9-4 twice.
Yeah.
Wait a minute. I mean, the same Franklin that went 11-2 last year.
Yeah.
And won the Rose Bowl.
And won the Rose Bowl, and now top 5. Hey, there's another comment up there. SEC dog said he's right about he doesn't know about West Virginia. I just want to know if Georgia guy, right? I want to know if he knows anything about the 2006 Sugar Bowl, 38-35 loss. I don't know. That was the number 8 defense in the country. I just talked to the Sugar Bowl 5, the offensive line guys. Those guys quit. Defense there, Georgia. They quit. Mr. Blue. Did you see him when he couldn't? He just did a fake dive for Steve Slayton. Hey man, that's the truth. If you don't know him now, you did know him in 2006. I guarantee you that.
So we have 41 people in here, and while we got you in here, I wanted to let you know. First off, be sure and subscribe to the West Virginia channel, West Virginia Football at the Voice of College Football. The link is in the chat. Wolfman's Call, Dale Whipley here on the bottom of the screen. Does a show there 4 days a week, going to be going live. Trying to get the time set. Haven't decided all that yet, but trying to get it worked out. But he is putting out videos nearly every day on the channel with interviews with Dale Wolfley, Jeff Hostetler. He's got Aaron Beasley coming up. He's got Stephen Bailey coming up. He's getting the big guns out. So also the merchandise store, and I don't have the link anymore. Can you bring that merchandise store up, Mark, and share it by chance? So the merchandise store, if you go to topqualityshirts.com, you can click on the Voice of College Football. We now have W merchandise in there, including a Wolfman's Call t-shirt and a Wolfman's Call coffee mug. So, you can get you some West Virginia gear over there. I don't have all the products in there yet by far, but I've got 4 or 5 loaded in there. So be sure and get you some products over there at and you can go to thevoiceofcollegefootball.com and get to the merchandise store, or you can go to topqualityshirts.com and get to it.
Joey and I did everything we could to balance quality and cost. We went back and forth on this. We did everything. He went on, down 18 different paths to try to figure out, okay, what is our best bargain? What is our best deal but still delivering quality. So this is quality stuff. We asked everybody who bought early on, we said, tell us how you like the merchandise. Let us know, because we don't want to be selling garbage. We want to be selling top quality stuff. And they've all said, this stuff is really quality stuff. We love it. It's really good stuff. So, we took that into account, and we wanted to make sure that we were delivering quality for the very best price.
Yep. At all costs. Every time we have good quality shirts for a little bit lower price, and we have top quality shirts a little bit higher. But even the good quality shirts are still very good quality. I promise you, they're not bottom of the barrel quality shirts. They are good quality shirts, and then we have top quality shirts as well. So whatever your price point is. So,
I just want my coffee mug. That's what look at it. He drinks out of that as he does it. Nice. Excellent cue.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Yeah. Yeah, man, we're excited about the store. Anyway, back to football talk.
Back to some football talk. And Wolfman, I want to hit you with this, because coming off the discussion about, and we could go on, and we will in future episodes, and we have in the past, about West Virginia's great football history. And I know with some of the elite players and coaches and some of the legacy guys that you bring on a regular basis, you guys dive into some tremendous stories from great games from the past and all of that stuff that nobody's going to hear anywhere else. But we've got a program that went 5-7 last year, had a down year the year before, 6-7, lost a bowl game. and comes in with a 4.5 win total projected by Vegas. Now, Vegas doesn't know everything. They're going to get fooled by 25 or 30 teams, but still, it. Can you think of a time when West Virginia, I can't off the top of my head, is projected to go on a 3 or 4 year run like they have now, where they've been struggling to get to a bowl game.
Yeah, in today's day and age, which is even easier, right?
Yeah.
Listen, I'm going to say this. Okay, Travis Kenobi, on last word on college football, wrote an article, and Travis is a good Mountaineer. And he wrote about troubled waters heading to Morgantown with all the realignment. But he also talked about, in that time, this is the worst winning percentage that West Virginia has had since Frank Signetti before the 80s. Okay, so looking at that, even when Frank was there, they were in the top 20 because they didn't have 25 back then. They had top 20. And the Mountaineers were in it that 1 year. This is the first time in 4 years. We've never been in the top 25. So when you're saying you're going back to the teams that we had, the teams that beat Doug Flutie when they were number 4 and when he won the Heisman Trophy, the teams that beat Penn State for the first time in 29 years. That was Don Nehlen making the change. When we beat Oklahoma in 1982 out there in Oklahoma, when we went ahead and beat Florida in 81 in the Peach Bowl, that was the Mountaineers coming around and really showing for that Frank Signetti era. But since that time, from Don Nehlen starting in 80 to now, it's the weakest stretch that the Mountaineers have had. And that's not anything but truth. And let me just say this for one plug that I'm going to give for my show. We're not going to mess around. We're going to just talk the truth. We're not out to hurt anyone. We're not out to insult. But the facts are facts, man, and let facts be facts. And this is the worst in 50 years. And you could say, all right, well, Neil he had the COVID stuff. Well, everybody had COVID, right? Yeah. Now, I sat there for 7 years with Dana Holgerson on the radio shows, on his TV show. I was on that for 7 years. I was on it for 3 years with Neil Brown on both of those. Okay, I've seen both coaches work and try to find their way at West Virginia. And right now, I think there's been issues that have hurt Neil Brown. And this is a tricky place now. It's very tricky. And we can get into that as deep as you want to go, or we can be as shallow as you want. It doesn't matter. It's up to you. I'll leave it in your hands, Mark. But West Virginia is not easy to coach, but you can be successful with the right type of people. And I'm not saying that Neil Brown can't be successful, because he may go ahead and fool everybody now. I just got done hearing that he said that this is the best roster he's ever had. So, okay, you know what? Let's see what you got, because the cup is half full. So you better get your guys ready. You better get those guys that you have, those receivers or those G5 guys, and you better develop them. Because right now, besides the Kentucky boy that committed yesterday, up until then, there was 11 transfer portal guys. Only 4 were Power 5 in some form somewhere. And the other 7 were G5 or FCS. And if you're going to do that, then that puts a heavy burden on those coaches, because they have to go develop them right away to be effective and powerful at the Power 5. And that's the problem you're looking at, and what the uphill battle is. And then you open up against Penn State, and then 2 weeks later you got Pitt. Those are out-of-conference games.
And to that point, too, Josh Pate talked about this just a few weeks ago on his show. This year is a defining year for Neil Brown. He came to West Virginia in 2019, and he pointed out from 2001 to 2019, West Virginia was a top 25 program 18 of those 19 years. What year were they not? When Neil Brown came to town. They did not make top 25. They were top 25 from 2001 to 2019, and then they missed the top 25 and haven't been there since. Neil Brown's got to get this program going and get us back in the top 25 for sure.
Well,
And
yeah, Joey, that's great though, but you got to have a formula to do that.
right. That's what I know.
You got to have a formula to say how are you going to do this. So that's what's very interesting to me. And I didn't mean to cut you up. I'll let you go ahead and go.
Oh no, you're fine.
It's about the formula, man, and process. And I'm going to tell you something else. Teams identify with their head coaches, and I want to see with Neil is when he first came here. I'm going to be honest with you. He came from Troy. He was kind of a tough dude, man. He had some swagger to him. Nobody went for it in fourth down more than he did in those times for stats. And I think somehow, some way, he's been kind of handcuffed at times. I remember Shane Lyon saying, hey, you got to get another coordinator that's going to call the plays. Too much for you as a head coach. Well, he did win at Troy 3 bowl games and do that whole process. So everything's relative to where you're at, whether you can move up. It's the same kind of management style. So with all that being said, I'm not saying that Neil can't be successful. If you look at Stoops at Kentucky, hell, he didn't do anything for 7 years, but they hung with him. They hung with Stoops at Kentucky, and now he's winning, and now he's got what he wants. I mean, but how many schools are going to hang? That's the problem. How many schools can afford to hang? I mean, if you go ahead and you look at last year and the attendance, and it was down. I mean, that is the truth. The attendance was down. I looked at that Thursday night Baylor game, and the stadium was half full. Never seen Mountaineer Field half full before. And maybe because it was a Thursday night game, maybe it was something else, other factors to do it. But it doesn't hide the real truth. And the real truth is if you're not winning, you're not making money either.
I've never seen a Thursday night game where the stadium is half full. It's always sold out on Thursday night, Friday night games. They're always full. One thing, we got back to Penn State for a second. So they made this a primetime game, right? 7:30 kickoff at night. Only game on NBC. I mean, what are they trying to do? Are they trying to make Penn State look good, or are they legitimately just trying to say, hey, this is an old brawl? This is an old rivalry game, and it was a rivalry game back in the day. Well, this game's not been played for a long time, though. I'm trying to figure out what their motive is. Is it just to advertise Penn State, or is it really a legitimate? Do they think this is going to be a good game?
I think you hit on a few things. Number one, if West Virginia is going to be as bad as what everybody thinks they're going to be, you might as well put them on TV early in the season before they're like 1-5. Okay. Right. I'm not saying they're going to be 1-5, but that's what the projection is, that they're going to have a bad season and go 4-8, 5-7. So if they are, you might as well get them on TV. They obviously only have one marquee non-conference game. That's against Penn State. And I do think that there is just like they put Pitt and West Virginia on the ESPN Thursday night game to open the season last year, there's a cachet to Penn State hosting West Virginia, and you might as well throw it on national TV.
Yeah, I mean, it was a big game, and well, we know West Virginia's got the largest fan base in the Big 12. And so, that helps. That's going to bring some eyeballs to the game.
Because you've already put Texas and Oklahoma to the SEC?
Right.
Okay.
Right. So now West Virginia is the largest fan base in the Big 12. And so, if you think about it, I guess maybe they're trying to look at things and saying, okay, who's going to be the marquee team that we can televise and get some eyeballs on? And it's probably West Virginia. But if Neil Brown doesn't do something this year, I don't know. I mean, I think that the Penn State game, I think I would have televised the Pitt game prime time. And it may still yet be, but especially if West Virginia can beat Pitt.
Well, you got to look at those matchups though against what the rest of the schedule is. They're not making those decisions in a vacuum. They're looking at the rest of the schedule too.
Right.
So I don't know off the top of my head. I know on that opening night, obviously last year, it was a Fox game of Penn State Purdue versus a West Virginia Pitt game on ESPN. And the Penn State Purdue game did about $3.5 million, and the West Virginia Pitt game did about $3.2 million. So they were extremely comparable. And I believe this year we've got Nebraska, Minnesota on Fox, and we've got West Virginia, Penn State on ESPN. I believe that's the breakdown.
And that's two good games. Nebraska bringing in a new coach, and people are going to be wanting to watch that. And people are going to be wanting to see just how good Penn State is, too. because Penn State's making some noise this year.
Hey, Wolfman, you were
Yeah.
talking about the process, and you were talking about when Joey said, we got to get back in the top 25, and you were saying, well, there's a process to it. You got to have a plan. You got to have a system in place. So let me lay this out for you. You tell me where you think things are going wrong, because to me, college football success comes down to your first component is talent acquisition. You're recruiting players. You are going through the transfer portal to fill out the roster, but most of it's through high school recruiting. So that's talent acquisitions, number one. That's step number one. Number two is you bring them on campus and you develop them as young men. You develop them as football players. You teach them technique. You teach them fundamentals. You strength and conditioning program. Everything that makes them a football player is the next step, development. Then number three, you bring them to a game. You prepare. Your coordinators are responsible for game planning, preparing that team to execute a game plan and understanding their opponent well enough to put together the very best game plan on offense and defense and special teams to attack that game. And then lastly, you make adjustments during the game. If it's not working, those coaching staffs that are able to adjust throughout the game are going to be the most successful. So that kind of takes us from when you first go after the players to the result on the scoreboard. Where's it not connecting?
Wow, you just came heavy on me on that one. Okay, well, let's just say I'm going to tell you right now that there's got to be failures in all. Now, Neil Brown has done a good job of acquiring talent at the high school level. Okay, well, you said at the high school, but the transfer portal right now, I don't think he's winning at that. I would say that, again, that's going to put a heavy burden on the development. Now, I've seen, some coaches have come and gone in the last 4 years. It's not always been the same staff. I know this. I think there's been 4 wide receiver coaches since he's been here. So when you look at that, I mean, Bryce Ford Wheaton just ran a sub 4.5 40 at the combine, but he's had 4 different coaches. I think he suffered a little bit because of that. Because I don't think he got the proper development that he needed. And now this Bilal Marshall's coming on. He's a youngin, but I think he's got a lot to him. So I'm hoping that he can turn that around. But getting back to your original question, is acquiring talent, high school talent? Yeah, Rodney Gallagher, right? They beat Penn State out on that one, a guy up from Uniontown, Pennsylvania. And so they can bring in the talent, but they haven't maintained that talent. The talent has gone, and that's what's really hurt. That's what I'm saying. How many real seniors are there? I think they saw the graduation today. We had like 7 or 8 guys that graduated today, and some of them are underclassmen. And it's a different day and age than my day and age. But when I played for the national championship, we had 25 fifth-year seniors. Okay, when the Mountaineers went 11-0. So the 2 times the Mountaineers gone 11-0 regular season, they both had 25 seniors on the team. And so obviously there's a lot of development on that and longevity to stay, because obviously the transfer portal wasn't there. So now you got to figure out, and this is what's tough on the new coaches, and especially if you're in between here and saying, okay, well, I'm better than this league, but maybe, an LSU could come calling, right? A top 10 team. And so sometimes you get stuck in there. But my thing is this. It always comes down to your relationship with the players. Are you taking care of the players the right way? When I coached, because I was taught this way to coach, I was in the locker room after every practice. And so were my coaches when I was the head coach. I want you in there. I want you talking to them. Did you have a good day? Did you have hey, listen, guess what? You'll have a better day tomorrow. Did you have a great day? Okay, well, you know what? Learn what you can, but don't get too high. Don't get too low. And it's always there being kind of a mental coach. And you're measuring your guys. But guess what? They knew you cared. And I go back, and I'm going to jump off just for a quick sidebar, is when I see Deion Sanders being so hard, these guys know that he loves them. And you can push these kids hard. And just like I've seen other coaches in today's transfer portal day and age, okay, if you show those kids, I love you, man, but I'm going to be hard on you, and I'm going to coach you hard because I want you to get to the next level, okay? I'm not sure where that miscommunication's coming from. Okay, so we go to acquiring talent. I think they're winning and recruiting the high school kids. I don't think they're winning right now in the transfer portal. That's acquiring talent. Does that answer that one for that part?
Oh, yeah.
Development. Can't say that they've won the development when you don't have many guys drafted, right? I mean, I'm not sure. I'm not saying they have done a bad job, but have they really done a very good job?
Well, they transfer before they become seniors to even get a chance at the NFL. I think we did have some talent that transferred, right? Jordan Jefferson.
Okay, Jordan Jefferson. Yeah, JJ. Okay, but let's be real here. So, okay, then let's go to Akeem Messidor, a very talented defensive lineman. Okay, he's 270 pounds. He was a very elite defensive lineman. He could play the 3, he could play the 4, he could play outside shoulder. But that's where he needed to be at 270 pounds. Now, he spent a year on the inside playing that one technique, which means you're right there between the center and the guard. And so either way, you got guys double teaming you. Okay, and at 270 pounds, your can gets worn out. I know, because I was in that group. I was right there smacking them. And I was taking them down. That's tough, man. And that's why Jordan Jefferson, who was strong as an ox, right? Strong like bull, right? That's what he was so good at. But Akeem Messidor could do it. But is that really good for him? Well, we know that he left and went to Miami, probably for some money, probably for a few reasons. But he also left because, you know what? I don't want to play on the inside, man. So you got to look out for them. And that's not talking about a belief. And when your coach is giving you that belief and the trust and say, trust me. And I know what's best for you. Well, I don't know. So you have that going on with that factor. So I'm not sure the development has all been there together. I know this. Mike Joseph and his staff has developed those guys. He has developed them. So strength coach, I'm not so concerned about. Other guys, I'm not sure that coaches, they've come and gone. What was the other two parts there, Mark? Let me finish it for you.
Yeah. Then I went from there to basically game planning.
Okay, game planning.
Putting together a scheme that works, that fits your roster.
Okay, so let's just go with this. So how much are you scoring, right? Are you really doing a game plan that fits your offense? And your quarterback, Jared Deggy, was 2.5 years in on that offense, and he couldn't run, he couldn't move. Well, at the same time, those first 2 years, we had a young offensive line. So if you're going to sit there and you're going to drop him straight back and be like, hey, let's go for an 18-yard cut downfield. Well, guess what? They're coming, man. They're coming. And if he doesn't have elusiveness to him, he didn't have a great escapability. Okay. He didn't have even a great sense in the pocket. And so I think, maybe, first of all, kind of an evaluation that was a Bowling Green quarterback for 2.5 years. I think that kind of hurt them. So there's an evaluation there. But when you go about game scheming, when you sit there and you run the read zone, but you never run the read zone. You never do the read with the quarterback. So I'm sitting there watching defensive ends. They're just going right down to the running back, because their coaches are telling them, listen, if he keeps it, he's going to get 7 yards. We'll live with that. Okay, we'll live to play another down. But he's not going to hurt you like a running quarterback. And they just focus right on the running back. I can show you film time after time. I couldn't understand that. So the game plan evaluation, some things I thought was lacking in some ways. Now, other things I thought that Neil did some really bright stuff that he did. So some of that, I'm going to go 50-50 on there. And then when you talk about, changing the game, adjustment, adjustment is so hard. But I want to tell you what comes and how you get adjustment. It's called experience. And we got coaches that understand the game on both sides of the ball. I mean, let's just look at Kansas last year, right? What did Kansas do? They put 55 points on in overtime against the Mountaineers. Okay. Never, not once did those guys on defense look like they knew anything that was going on, because Kansas was doing the old triple option, misdirection with the pulling guards. And I saw zero adjustment. Okay.
Yeah.
That's one. And the last one I want to finish is last year. when Texas Tech, no, let's say Xavier Worthy. Okay, Xavier Worthy comes out, world-class sprinter, right? I mean, I'm thinking he's world-class sprinter. Anyways, he's one of the fastest wide receivers in the NFL, or I'm sorry, excuse me, college. Didn't mean it. But when you look at him and you have a dude that's only played corner in his 4 years or 3 years at Murray State. And then you go and you throw him at safety for the first year. And you don't put anyone in front of Xavier Worthy. No misdirection, no nothing. Okay. And you just let him go 10 yards. Well, guess what? That kid's never seen that speed. It's not even on him. That's not on him. So when you're putting them in that kind of position and you don't adjust that, well, how fast do we get down to Texas Tech? How fast do we get down to Texas? How fast do we just get down to all those teams? Because the secondary, what they looked like, they were kind of lost. And so the coaches, so I just went through the list, telling you truthfully, that's what I saw. And was it possibly a bad secondary and defense? Yeah, it was. But those are your stages. I think I covered and answered for you, didn't I?
Oh, absolutely. Good stuff.
Can I breathe now?
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, excellent. That was great stuff right there. I also wanted to bring up there were numbers released across media this week with recruiting spending across college football. Now, before I pull up these numbers for West Virginia and the rest of the Big 12, I think we all understand that numbers are numbers. They're factual, but there's a lot of nuance and a lot of context that has to be brought to that because, first of all, it's a fiscal year. So there could be certain programs that had big initiatives and the year before, and so they were just starting something up. And so they had to push money into one fiscal year or the other. So that's kind of skews things. And there's a lot of things that I've learned in talking to a number of people about their particular teams that have certain deals that have saved them a lot of money, because the fans are going to do one of two things. Either they're going to say, man, these teams are spending a ton of money. They care. Those schools care because they're spending a lot of money. These schools don't care because they're not spending a lot of money. Or they look at obviously the teams that are overachieving, that are not spending a lot, but they're really good football programs, and then vice versa. You know, Rutgers in this is second in the Big Ten, at least for this 1 year. Again, caveat there, it's just 1 year, 2022. Number 2 in the Big Ten in recruiting spending. Well, that catches people's eyes to say, well, what in the world? They're outspending Ohio State. How in the world is that working? So it's not telling the whole story, but what does help tell the story is that in addition to the numbers that were released for one particular season, it's also got the average spending for 5 years before that. So that does help put it into context a little bit more. We'll clear some of this stuff out of the way and blow this shot up here as much as possible. So you basically have Oklahoma and Texas spending over $2.5 million on recruiting, and then you drop below $1 million. But West Virginia's at number 3 in the Big 12, at least in 2022. Now, if you look at the five previous years, they were more in the middle of the pack in Big 12 recruiting spending.
Okay, I see that.
Now,
Yeah.
and as far as I can remember, the four newcomers were also behind everybody in the Big 12. Am I right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, they would because they'd be G5. But you
Right.
also have to remember when West Virginia came into the Big 12, there was quite a few 4 years of getting a percentage of the overall spending that these other teams were getting. Now, for the last 3 or 4 years, West Virginia's been getting that full. I think they got 42 million or 43 million last year, so that they're able to spend more. And I think that it's important. Football is important to WVU. Neil Brown is certainly focused on going out and getting the best that he feels like he can at this point and putting that money into it. I mean, it looks to me like he's working as hard as he can for what they have. I mean, you're not going to compare it with Oklahoma and Texas. They just got more money and just got more people and more resources and blah, 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 blah. But right there for me, I'm seeing a program that cares. And so that means there's hope in that. There's hope. And with that hope, we can carry on, whether that's with Neil Brown or someone else.
Well, now we had Ren Baker on the show a couple months ago, and Mark interviewed him. And one question that was asked of Ren Baker was about how these other programs around our area, Virginia Tech, Kentucky, Ohio State, Penn State, Pitt, all of them put so much more money into their assistant coaches than we do. And I'm sure they do in recruiting as well. So, and Ren Baker said he was going to address that. So, because, at West Virginia, I can't remember what the number was now of what we put into our assistant coaches. It's nothing compared to Virginia Tech and Penn State and Pitt and the teams around us in our area, much less the Big 12. It's nothing. It's like $3.5 million we put into our assistant coaches compared to everybody else. The lowest one was Virginia Tech at $5 million, $1.5 million more dollars into their coaches. So,
well, Joey, hang on now. Hang on, brother. If you're going to throw that out there, let's look at it and why there's some reasons for that, right? Okay, so you're saying that this year we have $3.5 million invested in our coaches, correct?
And the assistants, right?
And
last year, I don't know about this year. Last year.
Okay, so last year we had coaches that were just there for the first year or 2 years. Okay, so I mean, we had Graham who brought in Graham Harrell, and he was there. He was gone. Like that was the guy that we brought in, and these guys they can just keep changing, and they're not very old guys. They are not. What we have, Ron Crook is there over at Virginia Tech now. I mean, there's a guy that has experience. There's a guy that's done a lot. You look at Jay Watson. You can't compare Penn State's salary right now. They've been in. Mark, how long has Penn State been in the Big Ten?
1993.
93, because 91 or 2 was the last time we played them at WVU. So they've been there. They built that up. They have 107,000 people, and it's packed.
Right.
It's packed, man. That's income.
Plus Big Ten revenue is higher than anybody else's.
And it's going to continue. Revenue. It's going to continue.
Yeah, it's going to get going up.
Exactly. So, I mean, I wouldn't compare it with Penn State. Virginia Tech, yeah, I'd be real interested in that. And I hope that Ren does look at that as well. And to me, I'm gonna just, this is speculation, because I hate when people speculate and they don't call it speculation. So this is speculation. But I'm assuming that $3.5 million that he put into the coach's salary, and I'm talking Shane Lyons, I'm thinking is because he knew he had $55 million to pay back for the new facilities. Because so he's got to pay for that as well. And for the last 4 years, how's that stadium been sold out? For the last 4 years, how's that merchandise been? For the last 4, who's been excited, man?
Yeah.
Okay, so all that goes in. No, but all that goes into it. So again, I'm not going to throw anyone under the bus. I'm not throwing. I mean, but I do believe you got, if you want to keep your assistant coaches, why is that a reason why there's been some turnover? Sure, absolutely, right. It has to be. What else could it be, right? But my problem is this: is when you have a coach that came up from Coastal Carolina last year in the receivers room, and you hit the P5. That's supposed to be, man, I'm cooking with some serious, chicken grease right now. Good fried chicken. I'm cooking with that. But then he goes to Liberty.
Yeah.
Can you explain that to me? I can't explain that.
I can't figure it out.
Mark, you tell me, brother. What you thinking on that? What you thinking, man?
I don't have an answer for you on that one. I really don't. I don't know why an assistant leaves that has to take a step down. I don't know what's going on there.
But I mean, would you say that's normal?
No.
Okay, but I
No,
mean,
that's
so
not normal.
so am I sitting here picking on this team when the truth be the truth?
Right, you're pointing out facts. Those are facts. That ain't
I
speculating or anything. That's
I'm trying to
facts.
be honest because I want to see this team, which I think can seriously make some moves, and maybe it's makes a couple moves here with Neil Brown. I told you, if it takes 7 years, if Neil Brown was the guy to do it, I would want Neil Brown to do it. Okay, I would. I believe in a guy to a certain degree, but believing in someone for till a certain degree is then you got to start winning, man. And he
Yeah.
knows he's a big boy. That's what I've always said about Neil Brown is that he's always understood where he's at and what's going on. Okay, I think a few things have happened in his time in West Virginia. I think that I fully believe that Shane Lyons was a detriment to Neil Brown. I'm just going to come out and say it. So I'm hoping that Ren Baker is a good thing for Neil Brown. That's what I'm hoping for. And if they can go ahead and start doing some good things there and some behind the scenes stuff, that I think you can have a better locker room.
Well, I kind of agree with you that I think Shane Lyons was a was. I'm
I don't
gonna
know,
use
but not everybody.
I'm not saying I'm gonna use a different word though. I'm gonna use a problem. I think Shane Lyons was a problem. I think he was meddling in other programs too much. I think all of our programs were down. It wasn't just football, guys. It was basketball was down, baseball was down, everything was down. And so, I think that it was a great thing when they fired Shane Lyons. And now we see our basketball program rising back up. And my gosh, I know it's just a football show, but my goodness gracious, man, our basketball team. I don't know how we're going to lose a game next year with the way Huggins is recruiting right now and grabbing players out of the transfer portal.
Show me the money, baby.
Man, I tell you
Show
what,
me the
that's something.
money.
That's something else. I mean, we're going to have absolutely the best basketball team I've ever seen at West Virginia in my lifetime. That's for sure.
Wait a
Seems
second,
like
Joey.
it. Seems like it. Anyway.
Come on. I know, jumping on the bandwagon.
I'm not.
Get the champagne out. Started corking it.
Hey, listen, I'm not putting down Javon Carter and them guys. All right, I'm not putting them guys down at all. But
I'm not saying the amount, but I'm saying, dude, they got to perform. They haven't
I know.
They haven't even put a WV on their chest, man.
That's
what until I see them become living and breathing with a WV, that they're still just an X-ray to me.
I think anybody that comes on Bob
Jimmy
Huggins'
or
team,
Joe.
Yeah, but anybody on Bob Huggins' team is going to perform. You know that. You know the man. I mean, he's going to get at you. So you're
going to get me in trouble. So I'm going to stay away from that. But I'm going to tell you this, okay? Looking forward to hoping for a very good season in basketball. And I think the skipper, man, I think he is trying to, everybody threw into the fun, man. They turned and said, all right, Hugs, here you go, baby. This is your shot. This is what we think of you. And it's because they respect and love him dearly.
Yeah.
I got one other comment to make, and then I'll turn it over to either one of you if you've got anything else tonight. But I'm curious to get your thoughts on this one. And there's nothing that can be done about it right now. But moving to the Big 12, was that good for this football program or not? And let me just say one thing, and this is just conjecture. This just seems logical to me, that if you're a really good football player outside the state of West Virginia, but close, you're in Pennsylvania, Maryland, Virginia, you're a really good ball player. And back in the day, you think about going to West Virginia, because let's say you're getting recruited by Penn State, Maryland, Syracuse, West Virginia, all the local schools. Let's say you're not can go anywhere in the country, but you're just a notch below that. You're really good and you can go anywhere in the region. Back in the day, you're going to go to West Virginia because you can play at Syracuse and Boston College and Penn State and Maryland, and you're going to play local games. But now you go to West Virginia. Like if I'm in the state of Maryland and I decide I'm going to go to West Virginia, well, who's going to go watch me play? Well, nobody's going to watch me play on the road because I'm going to Oklahoma and Kansas and Texas, and that's where all my games are, as opposed to back in the day. That's my only thought about it, making it more difficult for the head coach and the coaching staff to recruit regional top-notch players.
you think about it. Another team that's kind of not as bad as West Virginia, but kind of in that same boat. Is Missouri, right?
Yeah.
Missouri came into the SEC 2012. They won the SEC. What, 2
East.
years? East, right? To SEC East.
Yeah, they won the
And
East.
that good team for 2 years, and been on a downhill decline ever since. And I think that has a lot to do with who they're recruiting now. And they're saying, hey, we're trying to recruit over here in Oklahoma to get players to travel to Florida to play. I think it hurts everybody. I think conference realignment's bad in that regard. Now, at the same time, and Wolfman can attest to this more than I can, I don't think West Virginia had a choice. They had to join the Big 12. We didn't have nowhere else to go.
Sure.
So I think that's the biggest thing, is that we had to join the Big 12.
Okay. Well, okay, so that's a good question, a little loaded, but let me work through it if I can. And if when I start rambling, just tell me, get me back on track. But I'm going to start off with this. When Oliver Luck first came in, and I think it was 2 years before he actually moved us to the Big 12, and we were in the Mountaineer Athletic Club. Okay, varsity club is what I was the head of. I was the alumni director of athletics for 12 years. So I'm sitting there in our meeting, and Oliver says, first thing, if we don't get West Virginia University athletics in shape and ready, that means financially, that means winning, that means ready to go, improve everything, that we are going to be South Florida. We're going to be a Cincinnati, where you're going to go to the G5. Oliver Luck knew that 2 years before it came. So obviously, so did a lot of other people. And the fact is, we were making $8 million in the Big East a year. $8 million. So our first year at only getting, I believe it was half or even 30% was more than $8 million going to the Big 12. But the thing is this, Oliver Luck did not want the Mountaineers to go in the Big 12. Could we want to stay and play Pitt and Syracuse? But just remember this, those bastards at Syracuse and those bastards at Pitt, they didn't want us. They didn't care. They jumped ship, even after Virginia Tech. Okay, when we brought Virginia Tech into the Big East, they went ahead and jumped to the ACC, and they're like, see you, WVU, bye-bye. Okay, so honestly, I have no fondness for the ACC. Would that help our fans travel? Absolutely. And it is a shame. But let me tell you this right now, West Virginia would be in a far, far worse shape if they did not get into Big 12. And people are like, yeah, I know, but no, you don't know. You don't know until you make that $43 million. You don't know until you get the best facilities in the Big East or the Eastern realm, because that's what West Virginia has right now. Because I have proof of that through players that have been this year, and they've gone through Maryland, they've gone through Syracuse, they've gone through Penn State. Understand that it's not a far cry ahead, but right now we have the best until the next wave of, the super empires come out and increase their facilities. But right now is West Virginia's at the top. And that's because we had this money to resource to. And $8 million, man. You know what? You're UConn in football. You're South Florida, man. You know what I'm saying? You're there. That's not the top 15th winningest team of all time. That's not it. We had to fix ourselves. We almost got locked out. And people are like, yeah, I know, but I really wanted ACC. We could have gone. No, the ACC said absolutely not. Okay, it means nada. You know what that means? It means zero. No. Okay, you're not coming, at least not then. Okay, but you're not coming. Oliver had one choice to get us ready for the Big 12, and he had to make some concessions. People are like, oh, I don't like Oliver Luck. I don't like, he's always messing around, and Ken Kendrick, and, he gets in his face in there and everything. Thank God that those two got their face in there, because West Virginia would not be even talking competitive right now, even talking Power 5. They would be out. Okay. If you tell me I'm wrong, were you at that meeting all those years ago when Oliver Luck said, dude, if we don't get this right, we're done. Well, because you weren't. And when some people sit there, yeah, but you know what? You're not being realistic then. Then you just want to go live in your daisy world over here. because here's the real world, and then you're living over here, man. Okay, because they think that the ACC was going to. There's not a chance. And I get fired up and I get compact. Yeah, man, it'll be great to have those fan bases real tight. But I will say this. When recruiting the Big 12, Dana did a good job of this. He's like, okay, you may not be able to travel every away game to see us, but you will see us on national TV. And you will be on national TV every week, whether it be Fox, ESPN, or something. And he was always right. Because we have been on national TV. So you could say, yeah, they might not be there in person, and that certainly probably has hurt to some degree, but you're always going to be on TV, and kids are kids, and they still like that.
Yeah. And then that went to my point exactly that I'm glad you touched on that, because exactly what I said. We didn't have a choice. We had no choice to go to Big 12. And I know as West Virginia fans, we hate to think that way, because we think of ourselves 15th winningest program. We should be able to choose our conference. Look, Big Ten's not going to take us because of academics, which isn't necessarily our fault. We've got great academics at West Virginia, but we're not AAU. The ACC kind of looks for that too. They want some AAU status and things as well. And, so we just didn't have a choice. So
wait, Joey, what do you say about my degree, man? What are you trying to say? No,
nothing at all. That's what I'm saying. Hey, listen, do y'all know how many people know that West Virginia is like 16th in the country when it comes to Rhodes Scholars? How many people know that? I mean, we are ahead of teams like Stanford and stuff. I mean,
we wanted something, baby.
Right. That's right. We are way up there in Rhodes Scholars.
Well, Oliver Luck was a finalist, a Rhodes Scholar finalist. I mean, that was a football player. What the heck, man? That's winning it twice.
Yeah, our academics at West Virginia University, it seems low. It's not. We got really high standards at West Virginia. But the problem is, and it's not a problem, it's a great thing. Our motto is that we're going to educate Appalachian. If you're in the state of West Virginia and you live in the state of West Virginia, you can go to West Virginia University. We don't send you off to a junior college somewhere. You can go to West Virginia University. And it might hurt our academics a little bit. But at the same time, we're educating Appalachia.
Thank God for the Wolfley boys.
That's right.
All right. Thank God for Dale Wolfley. Absolutely. The Wolfman. The Wolfman's Call is right here. The voice of college football 4 times a week on the West Virginia channel. So get on over there. And if you're watching here on the main channel, we have dropped the link to the West Virginia channel on the voice of college football, and would ask that you would subscribe so you can catch the Wolfman each and every Monday through Thursday. And
I brought that comment up, Randy. It says, miss watching Stedman Bailey, great wide receiver. Yes, sir. He'll be on Wolfman's show here next week or two.
There you go.
I don't have the date down, but I will say this: is we're going to be going at 3:00 in the afternoon, Mark. I'm trying to find the right time. That's what I've been doing.
No worries.
Just going back and forth and trying to figure it out. And, so it's still up in the air.
That's kind of like my schedule. Nobody knows when I'm going live either. So,
but here's what you can do. You can subscribe and turn on your bell notification.
Yep.
And then YouTube will notify you as soon as the Wolfman goes live. It's that simple. Get in here with us every day. Have some fun.
That's it. Wolfman, one more time, let people know where they can find you.
Well, Twitter at Wolfley64, Facebook, Wolfman WV, right? And then, of course, at the West Virginia Football and the voice of college football, MarkRogersTV, all those good things. Because you know what? Because we're taking over the airways, baby. We're taking them at West Virginia, and we're going to go and smash it because we're smashing the truth, baby. We're going to have great time with my Mountaineer brothers, great time with Mountaineer Nation. But you can say your opinion, man, and we can have fun talking about it. And just, you know what? I'm fired up. Thank you, guys. I appreciate your time.
Thank you,
Awesome.
Man. Thank you, man.
Joey, we appreciate you as well. And everybody here in the chat talking West Virginia football. It's been a great time with the Wolfman, with Joey Foster. Keep it locked in here at the Voice of College Football. I got some Big Ten power rankings to show you very soon. So that'll be the next video upload. And who knows when we're going live next. The next scheduled live is Monday at 6 Eastern. That's the Big Ten live show. But we should probably hit the airwaves before that. So we will see you soon, everyone.
Y'all have a great night.
Boom.